Hey everybody! So we've been talking about making a video for quite some time, just kind of answering a lot of questions we have because it's just a lot of reading if I type it all out. So here we are.
Hey.
So we're gonna try to do that. We'll try to make it as short as possible, but if you hang on until the end, good job. Okay, so do you want to ask the first question?
No prizes for hanging out to the end.
Sorry, no prizes.
No quiz at the end either. Yeah, so let's do this. I'll interview you with some questions. You interview me with some questions, almost like our friends have been asking us questions. So,
okay.
I will start, and I think the most common question I get asked is, "Do you know who you're adopting?"
Okay.
Do you have a name?
So, no, we wish we knew, but no, we do not know who we are adopting. We honestly do not know if it's going to be a boy or if it's going to be a girl. We don't know what age. We don't know what special needs that they will have. And to this point, we are pursuing India, but we actually don't even know that it will be a child from India.
Good wording.
We will kind of explain that a little bit better next. But no, we don't get to know who we are adopting until we enter the matching part of this process. And we're a little ways away from that still.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Do you get to choose?
So, yes and no. We get to give our agency our preferences of the age of the child, gender of the child. We have 3 girls and 1 boy in our house, so we would like to adopt a little boy, but like we've talked to the kids, especially our son, like we are really wanting to bring into our family who the Lord has picked out, even if that's not at all what our preferences on paper are. Do you want me to answer the questions about how would I ask you that? So
there you go.
So other than a boy, because that's
okay.
what I just said. Like, what else are we thinking that we're gonna request to look at first? I guess.
Okay. So I think some of the other preferences that we would lay out would be around age. So that's kind of a common question as well as how old. And a lot of people target newborns. That's honestly not the direction we feel like God's kind of leading us in this adoption. And so what we are probably one of the preferences that we're going to be putting down as far as ages is going to be in that 4 to 6 year age range. So a boy, somewhere between 4 and 6. Now, as we pursue India, they do have certain laws in place, and so their law is that the youngest parent must be 25 years older than the child being adopted. So at this point, an 8-year-old would be the oldest we could adopt. Sometime next year, it would be 9 years old, and so feel pretty good that 4 to 6 is a good range. It's also a range that's not often or not as commonly adopted as the newborns. So preferences would be a boy, 4 to 6 years old. Now to keep the questioning going and flipping it back to you, we keep saying special needs.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean, and is it different around the world, or?
So again, yes and no. It is different, but it's also not different. So any child that we would adopt with our particular agency, it would be in the category of special needs. Sometimes those needs are the same as what we have over here, like for example, autism or cerebral palsy or blindness, deafness, all of those things. Those are big needs over in India as well. Some more special needs that we don't necessarily consider a special need, but in the adoption realm it is, if they are over 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's the longer a child is in institutionalized care, the more
unlikely
that comes with them, and it's just harder for them to get adopted. I think because fear. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we have to help mend when that child comes to our home, and it's scary and it's a little bit daunting. So 6 years old is kind of like, once they reach that age, people are like, I was looking for somebody younger, maybe. I can't put in a reason for someone else, but it just seems that the older, the harder. So, also a sibling group would be considered a special need. Uh, we wished we could have done a
Yeah.
sibling group at first, but with India, you cannot have you can have up to 4 children already in your home, and you can only adopt one if you have up to 4 already. So we're only eligible to adopt one right now with India, but they just, if they can keep siblings together, that's what they want to do. And so it is harder to place siblings, and sometimes they do have to be separated in order to get the children into a home. So that would be considered a special need. But the ones that we're looking at, do you want to cover the ones that like our families piqued an interest in?
So we actually got a list. It was a 6-page long list from the agency, just covering all the different special needs that are seen, anywhere from musculoskeletal to respiratory to cardiovascular, just all the different categories that are out there. I was blown away at all the different disabilities or special needs that are listed out. And so we've been going over that list. We've been praying over it. We've had to research a bunch of it because they didn't give us the special need and then define it and tell you what kind of care is needed. It's
just the list.
Just here's what it's called, and a lot of times it was a very medical terminology, and so we're a lot of Googling, a lot of searching. Found some Facebook groups and things out there that we can utilize as a resource where people have adopted already children with these special needs and can connect one-on-one with people to hear what's real life for them, and realizing every situation is going to be different, even if the same medical condition is applied. But common ones that we have been talking about with our children are blindness. We've been talking about deafness. We have talked through club foot, club hands, cleft palates, cleft in the face, things like that. It's been really encouraging to watch the kids kind of blossom through this. They went to the library the other day and rented some books with Braille and books teaching sign language. My kids have been coming to me. There's a couple different languages also in India. So Bengali, Hindi, English is one of the main ones.
And then a lot totally of their own dialects.
Subsets of dialects. But the kids have been just reading over these books and seeing, this is how you say it in Hindi, this is how you say it in Bengali, this is how you would say it in sign language. Running their fingers across the Braille, and just they've all seemed to embrace it and really excited about the possibility of a special need for blindness or deafness. I think are probably the top 2 that are hidden. Not that we're ruling any of the others out just yet, but those are also 2 of the main ones that are on the current needs list, just over in India right now. So.
Some of the needs that these children will have across the board, though, it's not like only children with medical special needs are going to have these things. All children from India are potentially going to have malnutrition. They will all have some degree of emotional trauma. Even if we brought home a newborn, all adoption begins from loss. Even this infant is going to lose something, and so all of them are going to have some emotional trauma that we have to help them with. We're getting a lot of really great training on that. It's so much, but like it's just really good things. So we I forgot what I was going to say. We have blindness, deafness, that those are the 2 that we're looking at, but we're also having to be prepared for a number of things that we like in their file. It may not even be written down.
Yeah.
We've learned about international adoption clinics.
Oh, that was a good one.
And it's kind of cool. At first, it was like, that sounds horrifying. But once I started learning about it, the power of knowledge, it's actually really neat. They have pediatricians in the U.S. that are really familiar with seeing referrals for children and looking over like how the country says these needs in their own language, in their own way. And a lot of times they won't say anything is going on with this child, and these doctors, they can look at some of the pictures if we have pictures, and they can name some needs that they just observe that aren't even in there. And they can really give us insight to what these children may have been already introduced to, such as like I'm probably gonna say it wrong, but like psychoactive therapy drugs. They're not gonna like write that on paper most likely, and these doctors know because they've seen it and they've helped thousands of children, and we don't know.
Yeah.
So, I'm rambling, but the International Adoption Clinic, I was really happy to learn about that. It's going to be a good resource because special needs and definition, it's not good enough. All these kids are going to have huge needs.
Yeah. Yep. So we keep talking about the special needs. We've been talking about setting a preference, who, things like that, and we keep saying like that's down the road. It's down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's down the road. Not there yet. Not there yet. So probably the second or third most common question I've been asked lately is
when?
Where are you at in this process? We keep calling it a journey. And there's definitely steps along this journey. So
it's a journey.
Where are we in this process?
Okay.
And when?
So, by the way, this process does not just conclude when this child comes home.
It's true.
In fact, that's like really when it begins.
A lot of the work begins.
So this is like the prerequisite process. So in this process, the waiting for the child to come home, we are in the home study phase still. That is not just limited to one interview and a home visit. It encompasses multiple interviews in person, together as a couple,
Yep.
individually, and with our children. We did already have the home visit part, and y'all prayed for me. Thank you so much. Like, we passed that with flying colors.
Prayers were felt.
They were felt. I just needed it. I was actually like sick that day. We needed it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Home visit, interviews. Part of the home study is also we have to write an autobiography about ourselves.
I write one. She writes one.
We have to watch several films. We have to read some books. We are having to do a psychological evaluation, get some counseling sessions about those things. And
there's a lot of education going on during the home study as well.
Yeah. And it's kind of, as we get it done, we can set up the next appointment with our caseworker.
Yep.
And basically she says, you can get through this home study as fast as you want. Me being impatient, I'm like, okay, my goal is Father's Day. We're done with this. And you are sending our fancy dossier over to immigration in India because by the World Series, which is in October, I want to enter matching. It doesn't necessarily work that way just because I want it that way.
Well, how long is the process then? No, like just on average, what have they been telling us?
They've been saying 3 to 5 months for the home study, but 18 to 24 months for the entire process of bringing the child home.
From application to flight home.
That's not good enough for me. I don't like that.
That's average.
I have a baby over there that needs us, and so we're going to do everything humanly possible to get through it as quickly as necessary. But as we're doing this portion of the home study part, like I I want to rush through, but I don't. There's like, I would be doing this child and our whole family. Y'all hear Mara Bear over there.
See my eyes getting big, trying to go away.
We would be doing a huge injustice to everyone involved if we rushed through this part. There's so much to just soak in from the education. So
it's hard not to rush because this is part of the process that's more in our control.
right.
It's honestly up to our speed. Whereas the next step in the process is
I don't have any
sending off
control over that.
everything for immigration with the U.S. and then CARA is the organization over in or
the governing
the governing body in India that approves us as adoptive parents, and now we're on their timetables. We're waiting on them and waiting on governments of all things to make decisions and approve or decline, and knowing whether we have to pivot or if we get to move forward with this process. So
yeah.
it's hard for me not to try to rush through this and get this done as fast as possible because I can control the timetable of this one to a degree. And so there's that, there's the immigration, there's CARA. Those two will coincide. They're 3 to 6 months for CARA and immigration. And then right after that, we go into matching. That's where a caseworker takes all of our preferences that we've been working on here during the home study phase and starts looking at all the children that are on the waiting child list and comparing preferences to the waiting child list and trying to find a matching profile of a child to present to us. And so when they present that profile to us, what happens next?
We get 30 days to accept or decline that child's profile. No one else gets to look at that child during that time except for us. We can take that information to our personal pediatrician. We can try to go on and set up an appointment with an international adoption clinic. I don't know what that's like. I don't know how long that takes. But yes, we have 30 days to say yes or no. And they strongly encourage you to be really, really sure about your no's, because if you say no, the likelihood is you're never going to see that child's referral ever again. God's in the miracle working business, so he can do whatever he wants, but they just really encourage a lot of thinking beforehand in this process, not just for our preferences, but what can we best give this child. For example, if you lived in a house with a couple of flights of stairs, a child that is in a wheelchair, that might not, your home might not be the best for that child. So you try to like think about those things beforehand. You're also trying to think 30 years down the road when this baby moon phase is over and it's just real life. And I don't want to sound heartless, but that's just how it is. Like life just it waxes and wanes with emotions. And when it's just normal life, 30 years down the road, some of these needs, you're still going to have that child in your house. They're not going to necessarily have their own home later. They're going to be with you or one of your children when they're adults. And so it's so much to think about. And it's hard to think about all that in a 30-day window. But matching is when we get to make that call.
So doing a lot of pre-thinking about some of that stuff now, and that's, as we check through the special needs list. A lot of prayer goes in that around, God, where am I not having enough faith in what you're calling me to do? And where am I putting too much faith in my own abilities? And just trying to listen and say, God, I want you to direct. I want you to tell me what I need to say yes or no or maybe to, because we know that God enables those he calls. And so during this home study phase, it's a lot of equipping. It's a lot of equipping ourselves with knowledge, equipping ourselves with a network, and so that we are equipped, and then we can then be enabled for whatever it is that God has for us down the road. So say that's probably the halfway point. Past matching,
you wait some more.
Wait some more. Go get on the plane.
You have to wait. So once we say yes to this child's referral, the U.S., once they get that in writing and all of that, to the U.S., we are that child's guardian. And then they send it over to India, and once India approves of us and this child being matched, they send over the NOC, is that what it's called?
No objection compliance or something like
Right,
that.
that like they don't have any reason that they're saying no. And we get adoption orders to go pick up baby. And I keep saying baby, but my kids are going to be babies until they're 100. Anyway, so we get to go get baby. With our agency, they are going to help set up flights, and we will have a guide. We will not have to drive or all of that ourselves. We will get a guide. That is part of the fee.
Travel's a big expense for this.
They'll set up hotels. They'll help us set up appointments with
judges,
the U.S. Embassy over there in Delhi, a few doctor's appointments, and then after that,
well, they've been warning us to prepare for up to 21 days in country.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh yeah, and part of that's not just waiting, like.
Part of that's bonding.
Bonding, yeah, like. We get to go see where this child's been living. They get to come with us. This child may not have ever seen anything other than the walls of the orphanage they're living in. So we might get to experience their country together.
That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know what that's like. I'm so excited about it. We're still praying through, are we taking our children with us? That's another question that we get asked.
It's a big question I get asked.
Like, who's going to meet this kid? I think we're still a little bit split on how we're handling this.
My heart is to take the whole family, and my preference would be to hopefully bring another adult with us if we could. That gets even more expensive the more people that you add on this trip. But I also think India is an amazing country to begin with. It's also very different than life in the U.S. and I want my biological children, to be able to see where their future brother or sister is coming from and get to experience some of the life that they've lived over there, because they may never see that here in the U.S. They may never experience that, and I think it'd be eye-opening, especially for the older children, the younger children as well. And then also you're just talking about 21 days away from the children that you've been raising for years, and
Mama don't like that.
Dad don't like that either. And so that's where my heart is. That's where my preference is. We'll see if God opens that door or not, because again, the costs start piling up the more people you try to take on an 18.5 to 20-hour flight to the opposite side of the world for 21 days. So,
and it's not that I don't, but I really do understand how much it takes to take care of our 4 already. And not that they wouldn't be important, but this trip is the first chance I get to introduce myself as this baby's mama, forever. And although that's wonderful and sweet to me, the likelihood of it feeling that same way is slim to none with this child.
Overwhelming.
In fact, they might possibly feel like they're being kidnapped. These weird people came from this building and they want me to hug them, and they're fawning over me, and I don't know you. You're a total stranger.
Maybe they don't understand what we're saying either.
You don't know how they're gonna respond, and I don't want to cheat them or not cheat them or rob them of the best bonding experience that they can have with us. But I also if it is a boy, I don't know. I think having a brother there, another kid that also came with these strange people to come get me, he's doing okay.
He's my size.
I'm gonna be okay. I don't know. There's so many crazy thoughts, but I just want to do a good job, and so I want them both. I don't know which one is best right now. The Lord will provide for whatever it is.
Who knows?
Yeah. So. We're not crazy. We're not making flippant decisions. It's a painstaking decision process. So we need your prayers. I keep telling somebody, I actually heard this phrase in the, hang on a minute, Mary Berry, in the podcast that our agency has. And the guy said, prayer is the most that we can do. We treat it like it's the last resort sometimes, or that's the least I can do. That's the only thing I can do. No, like, the money is so gracious that y'all have given. The babysitters for our appointments, the child care for if we don't take everybody, all those things are so, so great. But like, prayer is 100% connection to our God who has everything that we need. And I need that. I need that more than the money and more than anything else. So please keep praying for us.
Prayer touches the heart of God that can then touch us and give us what we need to know, give us that comfort, give us that hug, that reassurance at times. I was telling somebody the other day, like, he said, I don't have the faith to do what you guys are doing, so I want to support you financially. And I was like, man,
I don't have the faith to do what we're doing. The Lord's having to give it to me every day.
Yeah, and honestly, the faith that you're exercising to donate, or the faith that you're exercising to pray, like, it's the same thing to me. You're just doing what God's expecting of you to do and taking that very next step. So it's a journey of 1,000 steps or more, and the journey probably never ends. And I've never walked it before, so we're definitely connecting with some other families that have walked it.
It's been amazing to see the small worlds, all the new circle.
Yes, people popping out of the woodworks, and then I know somebody, and then it turns out I know somebody that they know, and
this is way
really
too
cool.
long of a story to like for maybe ask y'all to listen to in one sitting. So maybe we can talk some more. We will talk more.
We will be talking more because we got many blessings to share with you.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
A lot of really cool blessings that have I just feel overwhelmed by them. So can't do all these videos. Can't be 30 minutes. And thank you for sticking around if you're still here, or however long this gets edited down to. Thank you. Hit us up with more questions. Ask things, because I've been asked questions so far in this process. I'm like, I haven't thought about that yet. That's a really good question I should be asking. And so, man, hit us up. I love just the way different people's minds work, and love to share more with you.
Oh yeah.
Love you guys.
Love y'all.